Fascinating article a while back in Atlantic Monthly about a young rookie senator who came to your office. You hadn't been in the Senate that long. And you gave him all the right advice on committee assignments and press conferences and how to get along in the U.S. Senate. And suddenly this rookie senator, Barack Obama, is your chief opponent. Did your campaign not see him coming?
Well, in America, anybody can decide to run for president, and that's what's so great about our system. But I campaigned for him. I raised money for him. I was thrilled when he was elected. And when he asked me for advice about how to be an effective senator, I certainly gave it to him. Because what I believe is that we should all do the best job we can. And when I got to the Senate, there were a lot of people who said I wouldn't work with Republicans and Republicans wouldn't work with me. They didn't know me. You know, I rolled up my sleeves and I got to work, and I'm proud of the record that I achieved in my first term as a senator. But you know, I don't have any reason to second guess anybody's decision. You know, that's what's so great about this country. And look at the results. We now have a very close contest among those who are still contesting for the Democratic nomination. I'm happy about that. I think that's exactly what America needs. Obviously, I think that my 35 years of experience, the results I got in a full term in the Senate, being reelected with 67% of the vote, being on both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue, understanding how you translate a vision of change into a reality of change, I think that really gives me a very strong basis for my candidacy, and I'm making that case every single day.
Talk about the power of words, especially in a campaign where your chief opponent is an African American. A lot of very smart people, a lot of columnists said, of course I understand what Senator Clinton was saying about MLK and LBJ. There wouldn't have been a Civil Rights Act of 1964 without the guidance and leadership of LBJ, but of course there wouldn't have been a civil rights movement without the towering moral authority of Dr. King, of the near-death beating of people like John Lewis. And yet you know what happened to your comments and that issue in the days since.
Well, and I really regretted that because it was very much, off topic. It was baseless, and it was personally hurtful because obviously I know as well as anyone, I heard Dr. King speak. I mean, he began transforming my life the night that I heard him as a young girl. But this is a false choice. It's not either or. You have to have movements. You have to have political uprisings, if you will. You've got to have people who put themselves on the line for change. I am the beneficiary of the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, the human rights movement. So there's not a contradiction. And the real point is that we need to do it all in America. We need to have our nation engaged. The American people have to feel that they're part of the change that is happening. But we have to have leadership, as Dr. King himself recognized so many times, that will respond and shape and deliver the results that the movement tees up for us to accomplish. So it's like this false choice between change or experience. You've got to have both. You have to have the strength and experience to make the change. I obviously think I have the experience we need to make the change we want in America.
Have you wargamed the possibility that if you lose this contest, it would have been because you were up against a movement, or as some have called Senator Obama, more of an ideal than a candidate, and that it wasn't a fair fight perhaps, but that's the way it went?
Well, elections always come down to choices between people. On the ballot, you have individuals with our records, our qualifications. I think I have a very strong case that if you want to know what kind of change any of us will bring, look at the changes we've already brought. That's usually the best indicator of future behavior. And I was taken aback when Senator Obama said yesterday that he didn't intend to try to manage or run the government, that he was going to have advisors to do that. That is very reminiscent of what we've had for the last 7 years. I intend to run the government. I intend to manage the economy. I intend to take personal responsibility, and I intend to hold the government of the United States accountable to the taxpayers and the citizens of America. I think I know what it will take to translate all of our vision and all of our ideals. I mean, I have huge goals for America that I have set forth to translate that into reality. You know, right now I've got an economic stimulus package because we've got to take action. We're slipping, if not already in a recession. We've got to make it as shallow and short as possible. We need a president who will step up and do what is necessary. I offer a lifetime of experience of making positive change, of setting big goals, and of knowing you've got to run the government and manage the economy if you're actually going to produce results for the American people.
I guess what I'm getting at is originally when you were thinking about running, you faced this race as the only historic candidate in the race. You're up against what some people say is a more historic candidate in this race.
I'm thrilled by that, Brian. You know, I was sitting there last night, you know, looking at Senator Obama and looking at Senator Edwards, and thinking about how remarkable it is that the three of us were there on that stage with you and Tim Russert. You know, I have been involved in these struggles for so long that I am, you know, excited. I am gratified that in my country we have this moment of opportunity. Now, obviously, I believe that I would be the better president. I wouldn't be getting up at the crack of dawn and working past midnight. But I recognize and I celebrate the historic moment that we have right now.
Question about an issue currently on the front burner in our society, steroids,
Yes.
performance-enhancing drugs, growth hormones. I guess it was yesterday, Commissioner Seelig up on Capitol Hill. Senator George Mitchell says hundreds of thousands of our young people are injecting these drugs. What about enforcement, responsibility, penalties? Should, for example, Marion Jones be going to prison for what she did?
I don't think that is called for, because I think that we've had a very blurry set of rules and standards in professional sports, and that has unfortunately spilled over to our young people. You know, it's a little ironic to have the baseball commissioner, you know, now talking about what should be done, because it sure wasn't done before. The baseball owners and the unions were complicitous in basically trying to cover up and deny what was going on. So I think we've got to have a very clear set of rules and standards, and we need people to speak out about, you know, the damaging effects that this has. We know the physical effects and the mental effects and even the life-threatening effects that it can have. But it also undermines our heroes. I mean, it takes away that sense that, oh my gosh, look at what this man is doing. Look at what this woman can achieve with hard work and God-given ability that has just made her such a star. It undermines what we believe about about human possibility and potential. And it's very damaging. It's damaging not only to our sports figures, it's damaging to us as a nation. So I am absolutely in favor of moving rapidly to do as much as we can to end this scourge of using these performance-enhancing drugs, these dangerous drugs, and making it very clear there will be penalties, and strong penalties going forward, because we've got to penalize those who are selling it, who are prescribing it. We have to penalize those who stand silently by while it goes on, and yes, we will have to move toward penalizing those who use it, because this is just not acceptable.
So one more point on Marion Jones. She's given up everything she once earned, 5 medals, a huge monetary penalty, and her reputation.
Right.
She's the mother of 2 young boys. The New York Times says it's believed she's still breastfeeding her youngest child. And apparently because she's not admitted to knowingly taking these substances, 6 months in prison. That's too harsh?
You know, I'm not going to talk about the kind of criminal penalties. I think that she went through a tremendous ordeal and gave up her life's work and her accomplishments. I don't know the facts, and I do know this, Brian, that there were a lot of people who stood to gain. They gained monetarily. They gained reputation. They gained access to world-class athletes. I don't know what doctors told her. I don't know what trainers told her. I think that you know, we ought to start now and say, look, whatever happened before, this has to end. And we can't just go after the athletes. We need to go after the enablers. And that, frankly, goes way up the scale to the people who run professional sports, often to the people who are involved in the Olympics. There's enough blame to go around here.
Another topic from the news, this corporate foreign ownership. We talked about it at the debate last night. 2 huge names, Citigroup and Merrill Lynch.